Hello everybody and welcome to PlayVS. This is the Alabama League of Legends Spring Grand Finals and I'm thrilled to be bringing it for you here today. My name is AHSAA Troika, joined here by Melvin Izzle on the desk. We're going to be your commentators, we are going to be your analysts, we are going to be your entertainers throughout this whole evening, and I'm certainly excited to get my teeth stuck into casting some League. Melvin, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I love casting this collegiate level League of Legends because it means the absolute world to the players, and I'm hoping that that means they leave it all on the Rift for us tonight.
Well, exactly. You mentioned there that we're dealing with a sort of a high school level of league here, and the stakes really couldn't be any higher at that stage. You're going to want those bragging rights. You're going to want to be able to build yourself up as a team and come away with some wins at the end of the night. So I'm certainly thrilled to be getting across all of the action here. We've got one single best of three that we are going to be bringing you, and I think that it is going to be a good one. We've been doing a little bit of research on these two teams, and I think we've got a good little picture on how this is all going to go. Now, something that is important to note is that these players are going to be playing from a studio venue today. They're going to be playing from Epic, so we're going to play a very quick video here and you can just see exactly what they're going to be getting up to.
Looking for a fun night out with family and friends? Escape reality at the Eplex. The Eplex offers virtual reality, PC and console gaming with a full restaurant and bar. The future family fun starts here.
So there you can see just the venue and all the sort of things that our players could be getting up to after the game tonight. But it's certainly a bit of a different setting, isn't it, Melvin, to be playing in a venue like the Eplex. You know, it's not every day that you're going to actually be playing this sort of a level of tournament face to face, almost sat across the stage to your opponent.
I mean, I can't wait for the one day in the distant future where we're playing VR League of Legends and you can see them pulling out their axes on the Rift. But no, for actual fact, yes, it is a very different atmosphere from playing at your home, on your desk and all that kind of stuff to, first of all, completely different location, like you said. You have to set up your equipment again, you have to make sure you're all synced up and ready to go. You can see your team in the line. I'm assuming they'll all be sat in proper top to support order. It is a brilliant and terrifying feeling all the same. So we are going to get some emotion on the Rift one way or the other.
Absolutely. I mean, that shoulder-to-shoulder game, and if you've never experienced it, if you've never gotten yourself down to your local LAN or anything like that, I highly recommend it because it is just so much fun being able to sit next to your friends or even people that you just meet there and just be able to share that same room enjoyment and that shoulder-to-shoulder feeling. And that's exactly what our teams and players are going to be getting tonight. Speaking of the teams, let's bring up the bracket. Let's see who we are going to be looking at here tonight. It out as a full 16 team bracket and we have whittled it down to just 2.
And you can see right there we have got in this game for you the Loveless Academic Magnet Program LAMP Legends Gold coming in as the first seed against the actual reigning champions of James Clemens High School on the other side. So I'm very excited to see if they'll be able to retain their trophy and try and keep that first place. It was something that I managed to get a hold of some of the players and they were talking about how important it is for them. They've been playing together for over a year, hence why they won last time. And whereas on the other side, we're looking at LAMP, they've only been playing together for about 5 months. So gonna have to see if any of those synergy things start to play up as we get into this.
Absolutely, and it's really worth mentioning here that this was a 16-team bracket. All of the games played up until this point have been full best of 3s. So this is, by no small feat have these two teams made it to the finals here tonight. It's certainly not been an easy ride by any stretch of the imagination. So it's good to see we've got the champions returning there in James Clemens, and I'm sure that they're going to be looking to make it the 2 times and be those 2-time winners. But obviously, on the other side of things, you have got that LAMP team, the Loveless Academic Magnet Program, and they are going to be looking to stand in their way this evening. I'm really excited, I think, to see how this is going to play around. It's always nice when you do get a genuine first versus second seed, because the teams have then, they fought through that best of 3 and they've battled everyone aside to really determine which team is going to be the best here.
And as for our just kind of ballpark predictions looking in at this one, for me, I'm expecting, just looking at the prep we've got down on the screen, all that kind of stuff, I'm expecting us to get the 2-time reigning champions just from a glance. And the reason for that is, when we're looking through, trying to do a bit of prep, looking at, what the champion pools are for a lot of them, the first thing that really started to scream alarm bells for the LAMP team is that they have got some pretty narrow top and ADC champion pools that obviously when you do have that, you're going to be much better at them because you can dedicate a lot more reps into those specific champions. Things like for the top lane, we've got 5Dog. We'll see them once we get all the names on the side for you and you can remember them. We've got things like the Yasuo up there, the Set, even the Teemo to an extent. These are, I'm not going to say the most expected, not the most meta champions in the world, but it means that you're going to be playing a very unique style that the enemy team has to try and find a way to match.
I kind of like it because it's almost that sort of the synergy, the experience that we know that James St. Clemens have got in the fact that they've already won previously, and you know they're really going to want to make it that 2 times. They seem fairly well rounded versus not quite the unknowns, but certainly the loose cannon in the Loveless Academic Magnet program. You just don't really know what you're going to get with them. Is it going to be a case of if you just let one wrong champion slip through, It could all be over because someone's going to start hitting some crazy hyper carry? I guess we'll see when we get a little bit further on into the game, and of course, you know, into the draft. It is going to be a best of 3 that we are playing here tonight to decide who is going to be our champion. The same format as has been played throughout the bracket play up until now. So these teams have had a lot of opportunity to do their homework as well, and that's always something that's worth bringing up when you've played a 16-team bracket like this. You've had good opportunity to go through and, you know, maybe speak to teams that have already lost or played your opponent and, you know, just understand and find out exactly what's going on. I'm not sure if there's any VOD that they maybe could be going through there, but there's certainly opportunity to learn and just figure out how they want to approach coming into tonight.
Well, I'll say anecdotally, after doing years and years of like uni kind of play in these similar tournaments, one of the best advantages you could get was winning quickly, because then you can OPGG and start looking up your next round opponents in their current game and getting as much data as you can. Like, okay, let's see how they're doing. Let's kind of see what strategies they're pulling out. And when we take a look at these 2 teams, I think draft is going to show a lot for both of them. Because on the red side, what we're assuming, we will find that out shortly. We've got James Clemens, the reigning champions, and they have got some scary stuff up in the top lane. Demon Slayer Yi, who will stick to Demon Slayer to not confuse if a Master Yi gets locked in of all things, has got like the hellscape of top lane ready to open up before you. The Riven, the Camille, the Irelia, the Fiora. These are just all the champions that you look at on the enemy team and go, guess I won't get to play the game today. Sure, fine, okay. I guess, and we've already mentioned that 5Dog has got quite a small but unique champion pool, so I'm very excited to see their Jax in particular, the main one that I feel like is a decent answer to a lot of those scary picks I just listed off. I'm expecting to see it get banned out almost immediately for that reason alone.
Quite possibly, and that's, you know, one of the sort of challenges that you're going to face when you do have that limited champion pool, is you're not going to be able to, you know, be drawing from all 4 corners almost. You're going to be fairly narrow and fairly limited, and if that Jax gets removed, I mean, when we were doing our prep earlier, we sort of looked at that top lane and we were just like, that top lane looks a little bit scary here for Lamp. I'll be honest with you, it's not going to be so easy to just switch something in there and try to come out on top against the powerhouses that Demon Slayer is going to be picking out, and it runs a little bit deeper than that. You know, we you know, you want to talk a little bit more about sort of James Clemens and sort of some of the power positions that they have. Jungle, very flexible. You know, there really isn't anything that's too limiting there. If they want to play, you know, little boopy assassins like Diana or Lilia or something like that, they're going to be able to do it. Equally, they've got that Engage, they've got the Jarvan, they've got the Skarner. You know, a very well-rounded player in Pentakill, and I think that could be an area as well that we start to see Lamp struggling.
Even a man after my own heart, I saw that they have got some Ivan games on there, of all things in the world, so I am, you know, I'll keep my fingers crossed. Maybe it's my birthday today and we'll get to find out. But on the other side of the rift, we have a very, I'm going to say, linear style between the mid-jungle of LAMP. I just want to say Lamp every time. It's just rolls off the tongue. Nonetheless, we have got a lot of assassins and a lot of carries between the pair of them. I'll list a few off for you now. In the jungle, we've got Coco Chaney 369 playing things like the Evelyn, obviously the most terrifying assassin to ever walk into your lane that you didn't know was there. Things like the Rek'Sai as well, and the Shaco. And you perfectly tied these 3 together in our pre-game discussion that they basically have very similar counterplay when you're against them. They're all a very linear style how they go about it, and as we hop into the pick ban now, I'm curious to see if any of them, or if any are prioritized for the mid lane, has their champions banned away. Things like this Katarina, Akali, Yone, everything that you would imagine to be banned in the first solo queue game you lock in of the day, we're expecting to see it taken off the table here.
We're going to be jumping into the pick ban phase right now, as we can see already that Riven has been removed. No big surprises there, as Lamp have recognised that top lane is fairly strong, and Riven, of course, being a champion that Demon Slayer is very capable on, responded to with a Hecarim. So pretty much par for the course here. We're seeing, you know, these players have their champions banned out. You know, the Hecarim was the most played jungle that Coco Chaney have been rocking with, so it's a nice little synergy there.
And I will let everybody know we're on patch 12.8, live patch, so exactly what you're seeing on the server. Swain has been reworked, and I'm going to say most importantly, we see banned away is the Gangplank from Poofers. They play at mid lane, they're an ADC player by heart, but they play this first strike, just full crit, standard Gangplank in the mid lane. They got buffed on the previous patch, and I'm expecting we'll see them either banned or picked in the next games of this series for certain, because whew, they are a unique player on that champion.
I think unique's a very polite way of putting it, Melvin. I think you've done very well there. We were talking about the Gangplank mid and how it is. It's a little bit unique. It's a little bit niche, suspect, maybe. But I would suspect it could be a way of putting it. The bans are going to be rounded out here with a Lulu and a Nautilus. And it is on Lamp to lock in their first pick. Now, are they going to try and lock in that top lane or not? They're actually going to lock in the Veigar. That doesn't seem like the smartest choice at this point, when we've already spoken about how pressured that top lane is going to be.
And I think the reason that they've gone away and done this is because Poofers, we were just talking about them, the Gangplank player in mid, doesn't really play mid. They're an ADC player. Veigar is one of the few fullbacks they have with the Gangplank, so we've got instant focus away from that player in the mid, and now we see the Misfortune locked in. A lot of ADC's been toned back on this patch. We saw that previous patch, the Hecarim nullified a little bit. The Jinx toned back on this one, getting very, very squishy in the early game. Misfortune, though, she's sitting pretty, and pairing it with something like the Rel, we have already got a devastating wombo combo to start off this draft.
You really set your stall out there for a strong bot lane. The Rel and the Misfortune can have some nice synergy together. They're going to be able to obviously Rel with that engage. Misfortune, as you've said, has almost sort of flown under the radar a little bit this patch. It's not someone that we do see Undead Scar playing all too often, but an ADC is an ADC at the end of the day. Misfortune, you're going to have good knowledge about how to play that. Fantastic ult for those team fights as well. There comes the Jax. It is going to be locked in on the top lane, as we expected.
And now this begs the question of, do you answer with the bot lane, or do you just lock in, take a strong jungler here, and then not get really too bothered with what's going to come in the second rotation? Because all depending on what we see locked in here will pivot what happens with the bans. We get the AHSAA. It's a very standard matchup into the Rel. It is the most skill matchup you can get in the support role. Whoever goes in first loses. And now we get it finished off with a Lilia immediately picked up right there. Okay, that is going to be a squishy jungler into 3 point-and-click champions. Makes me a little bit scared, if I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, the Lilia, it almost limits the mid choices as well there, because you're not really going to want to couple that with an AP mid if you can help it. We'll have to see how that goes in the next pick phase. Currently we're in the bans and we're seeing Varsity there going to remove the Nocturne.
We nearly missed the trick. Something very important about the Lilia in this game is it's a flex pick for this team. James Clemens flexes the Lilia between top and jungle, so potentially we could just see mid lane get locked in after this next ban comes through from both teams, and then have it as the mystery for the rest of the phase. We get those double assassins banned away, trying to get rid of some of those picks that can really focus down the MF, focus down the Lilia, and I really like this style so far. The question is, what can you try and almost slow down the enemy team with? Because we're already talking about how Poofers in the mid lane doesn't have that deep of a champion pool, and now is the time to see what they have to answer this Veigar.
The Diana there getting removed as well to round out those bans. Into a Veigar. You know, you look at Poofers and what he's played previously, a little bit of Akali thrown in there. You don't really want to be picking on the Akali.
Yep. That is the Sejuani jungle locked in, also buffed on this patch, but nonetheless a abstract one when you've already got the Lilia revealing that it is going to be heading up into the top lane. I love that. Absolutely love that. Trundle is one of the best picks in the game into Sejuani because you could just eat up those bonus resistances, and then as they tick away from Sej, she becomes squishy as a sponge. Now, last thing is, what ADC do you round this comp out with, or are we going to get some more weirdness with that Veigar? The latter.
The latter. We're going to get the Orianna mid. So the Veigar is going to switch down into the ADC role. Not too much of a problem, as you say. Veigar can be played ADC. With Alistair down there, it's going to be a pretty CC-heavy matchup. It really could do some work.
So you put down the cage, and Alistair headbutts you into it. And then you get to chain that stun together. That's pretty oppressive and really good into the Rel in particular, who wants to be diving in. But here it is. We get the Irelia picked up to go in the mid lane. This is not a champion we expected to see from Poofers, but then again, we didn't know what champion to expect from them because he's not a mid lane player typically. So now we've got a very skill-intensive comp coming out from that mid-jungle duo. Against the Orianna Trundle, you definitely have the heads up in the 2v2, but on your own, I feel like this could certainly get really rough if the jungle and mid aren't grouping up constantly for James Clemens.
Yeah, Irelia, of course, is going to be one of those champions that can be fairly well self-sustaining, but inside of the mid lane can come under that constant pressure of the gank, and if you've got something like a Trundle there that's going to be running her down, it could be very easy to start getting a little bit of an advantage there. And you know, really for Lamp at this point, I don't think that they've done too badly, realistically, given the limitedness that we saw in their champion pool. We didn't see, Five Dog have the most extensive pool upstairs in that top lane, and he's still come away with the Jax.
Exactly. The fact that they managed to secure this power pick that we're talking about is the answer, in air quotes, to basically everything on the opposing top laner's pool. Well, funnily enough, the one thing it's not an answer to is this Lilia. You can jump on them and go for the stun, but with the extra move speed that Lilia can get, the fact she can buffer it with the watch out eat to try and dodge away, I think there's a lot of counterplay up in the top lane for Demon Slayer on this Lilia. I say that, obviously we're not actually in the game yet, we've got a little bit of a delay while we just load in. It could be something really weird where they decide to send it a Sejuani top. I really hope that's not the case. That would suck, but you know, I've seen stranger things happen in a draft phase.
I mean, this is where, in reality, it's actually Irelia going to go top, and Lilia's going to get played mid, and Sejuani's going to go jungle.
No.
At this point, anything really
That's
could
the
happen.
worst.
We're going to have to wait until we get into the Rift to see exactly how this is going to be played. But I think the Lamp have done a really good job of somewhat limiting that extensive pool that we saw James St. Clemens have, and just see if that's going to be enough. The Orianna in mid, that could be a really big matchup, and I think that if you're going to be looking toward anyone here to get, to be very self-sustaining and allow Trundle to work the side lanes, you're going to want your Orianna to just be able to keep the head down and not really get themselves into too much trouble early on, because that really is going to be, maybe even so much as a win condition. If you can, allow the jungle to be able to help Jax a little bit in that top lane, it could something that could snowball.
Well, you say it like that because the Trundle has pretty easy ganks on every lane, effectively. Irelia's got the most mobility, but she can only go forward out of all the lanes. Bottom lane, it's an immobile misfortune. The pillar can actually stop Rel mid-jump as well. Top lane, Lilia's whole gimmick is she runs very quickly. Pillar completely turns that off. Combos beautifully with Jax, but allowing them to close the gap and get that stun down. So, like you say, there are a lot of really good gank avenues for Coco Chaney on this Trundle. And the biggest question for me is what is going to happen on the other side? Because Pentakill on this Sej, presumably, is in a really awkward spot where you don't want to match the ganks because you lose a 3v3 in bot or a 2v2 in the solo lanes in most situations. So you need to be proactive, but completely opposite to where the Trundle is.
Yeah, and that's going to be the delicate timing, I think, that Sejuani's going to have to find here is, making sure that they're picking up as much farm as they can in that early part of the game to ensure that they're doing the best to get themselves ahead and then just take those opportunities. Whilst it looks like on paper, Lamp have got some good, positional, some good opportunities to take some positional advantage there with some of the synergies that they've got, they've still got to make that work, and that's still got to be something that gets executed well. If overextensions happen, if players start to get a little bit out of position, it needs to be punished quite quickly. And
on the subject of punishes, I want to talk about the James Clemens squad. This comp is amazing at punishing missteps. You get the Sejuani ultimate, immediate pick potential once you're in the kind of dragon dances, these kind of skirmishes where you're not actually forcing anything too hard. If you overstep, that Sejuani immediately punishes you. The follow-up is immense, rel jumping in, the fact that Lilia can then land a guaranteed E into sleep. Nobody really survives it for Lamp, not even the Trundle. And I mean, AHSAA can get himself out of one thing, but you don't really want to be having to burn your cooldowns defensively when you should be trying to jump in and stop this Irelia, stop this Lilia MF kind of trinity that will be looking to carry the JHCS team. And for me, I think that if this game goes passive and not too much happens in the early game, I very much like what JCHS have for playing the side lanes later on.
Once again, we do thank you for bearing with us during that slightly longer than expected delay, but I believe all of the players are now ready to go.
Oh, very exciting stuff. We're going to have to find out who will be taking this one. Will it be Lamp or will it be JCHS on the red side? As we see, got a lot to recap, but main things you need to remember on patch 12.8 first of all. We have got the reigning champions on the red side who won the state championship last season. They've been playing together for a year. And I think that's all the preamble we really need to do before we start talking about what's actually on our screens.
Exactly. These are going to be your first and second seeded team. We're going to be looking for the potential two-time, the potential back-to-back for James Clemens High School. And of course, Loveless Academic Magnet Program, or LAMP as they are affectionately known. It would be their first time winning. So a lot on the line here and certainly a lot to prove.
Couple little things as we are about to get started. We did see right there that Poofers on the Irelia managed to pick up that first ward, which means that they will actually, provided they got enough XP from it, hit level 2 on the first wave, which adds a lot more pressure onto Prioritizer's Orianna. This is something that when we were talking about the draft, wasn't what we were expecting from Poofers. It wasn't something that we really thought they could play, but if they play it well, this can utterly dominate the lane and blow the game open from minute 1.
You can see that there's a little bit of a start down there in the bot lane. Trundle just started on the blue. I'm going to move up and maybe work his way up top side. We did mention how important it could be to help Jax in the early part of the lane. Jax, of course, going up against that Lilia. It's not necessarily a favourable matchup. You can see there's been a little bit of light trading up here already, but Jax not interested in any sort of push there. He wants the wave to be coming to him.
And the thing about this Lilia pick is that she is going to do an amazing job of just zoning the Jax off of pretty much anything. Now that they're level 2, you can see, oh, just disgusting trading. And this is really, really bad for 5-Dog on the Jax, because you'll see, they actually opted for the Flash Ignite, hoping that they could use this with their jungler to get some kill pressure down. Now, can they actually get it done? Do have the level 2. Setup is there. Should be able to get
no
it.
Vision either. That's going to be huge as Jax is going to engage onto the Lilia. We see the flash burnt there on the Lilia, but it is all over. Trundle drops the tower and is able to get that first kill. We do see Prioritize fall. Aurelia there, the cat with 9 lives. Has to flash out in the end, but Flash Ignite burned. It is a worthwhile trade.
Immediate action coming out from this one. Very exciting to see from both sides managing to snowball a little bit. As I'm gonna take a look at this replay right here. It was just Demon Slayer wanting to get this minion wave crashed on the tower. Bit too greedy and a really smart pathing from Coco Cheney on this Trundle. You said it, we said it a lot in the pre-game. I know it was a little while ago, but there's more to come.
Poofers there going to get taken on out as well as a little skirmish inside of that mid lane. There's fights everywhere at the moment. Here comes the Vigar's Cage, as predicted. Alistair knocking Rel up into the side of it. Not a lot of mana there on the MF, so they really need to be cautious as any further engagement there really is only going to end one way. Trundle, pathing bot side as well. Could look to try and assist bot.
Alright, absolute mania happening in the first few minutes. Clearly the teams were getting, let's say, a little bit agitated waiting for the game to start, and they just want to get all the gameplay done in the first few seconds. We'll take a brief moment to actually look down and see what's happened right here. Been pentakill on the Sejuani, managed to pick that up on the mid lane right there. They are the recipient of those double buffs. As we do see a little bit of an issue with the scoreboard not updating. We'll have to see if we can get that one amended for you. There we go. That's all we needed. Itemization's there, and the gank is top.
Ooh. Jax getting caught out of position here. This was one of the things that we commented on earlier on, is that if the Jax then starts to play out of position, there are going to be opportunities there, and he does have to jump away. Doesn't burn anything, still got the flash intact, but just gets batted back. It's a cautionary knockback there from Sejuani, saying top's not going to be entirely free for you here.
Precisely, just relieving a little bit of that pressure. Thing is, when you end up getting an early kill participation up into the top lane, that can swing the matchup quite heavily. But we see just the natural state of Lilia versus any melee top lane getting pushed off. So now, we have got Coco Chaney in the bottom lane. They're going to look for something. The thing is, though, it's going to be tough for them to sneak in without getting caught on these minions' vision.
Ooh. If MF keeps walking forward, though, it could be disaster. The Rel hits with the engage, but the Vigar cage is going to be too strong. Flashes on through. The target's going to be the MF, soaking up that ignite right now. It isn't going to be enough to knock them out, though, as that wave is going to crash, but perfectly timed. Drake is up.
No freeze allowed on this bottom lane, and you see actually the complete pivot. Coco Chaney was looking to just go back through and clear the jungle. Knowing that both bot lanes are going to base here, they're going to opt away from it. Don't want to risk anything. Makes a lot of sense when you're in such a volatile early game. Every single lane has a lot of swing potential for one reason or another. I think it's about time we take a look back at that mid lane, because Pufa's quietly getting that solo kill level 3. Now they're level 6. This kill pressure has just skyrocketed. Half HP, that doesn't matter when you got this many minions to heal up on.
Couple of corrupting pots as well. Pufa's not going to be feeling the pressure too much. Can maybe start to try and build a little bit of a farm lead. What's happening here with Jax? He's going to burn the flash. Oh, gets away with it.
Wait.
Is the ball going to hit him? No. Does manage to dodge that as well. Jax, just go back, mate. You don't need to go in. I know that your jungle's coming up, but please live to fight another day. You've just gotten away with it there.
And the thing is, Lilia TP'd back after that first gank came down and they died. So they don't have any items right now. They've used all their corrupting stacks. So this is basically a no inventory Lilia, making them such a delicious target for this jungle. And the Troll King looking down at Sejuani right now. Just try to get that crab. No smite on pentakill. So they're just going to do their zoning. But we see Poofers comes up on the Irelia. This is the duo to watch for the red team. Sejuani Irelia has immense 2v2 potential, and I would say is the biggest swinging point for the James Clements High School squad.
Polite farming currently happening here inside of the mid lane. Poofers. One of the dangers of that Aurelia, especially now that they've hit 6, is that any time is the time to strike, essentially. And they really ought to be quite cautious of that. Prioritize is having to play a little bit further back. He's not down on farm at the moment, but he isn't gaining any sort of lead back after that solo kill earlier. So, for all intents and purposes, just a passenger in the lane right now.
You see, they are about to get the flash back up, though. And with an out-of-mana Orianna, this is bait. No, I can't say any other way. This is bait.
Well, we're going to see the bait come through there. Brilliant little kill coming in from Poofers. Burns the ult, burns the flash, burns the ignite, the full combo, but it is worthwhile. It's furthering that lane advantage, furthering that gold lead, and maybe can start to hit a plate as well.
Absolute monster performance, as we do have flash available on Lilia. Oh, this is dead Jax. Yep, alright, back to the replay, as we'll see another solo kill coming out from the reigning champs. Beautifully executed, knowing that Prioritize was going to go Okay, baiting out a lot of abilities here. This is just clean. This is honestly just waiting and Prioritize a little bit too greedy. You see that on the same screen as Irelia.
Yeah, Aurelia more than happy just to hit that tower dive as well, knowing they can get the job done in one tower shot and flash out. It's pretty much the same combo that Aurelia tried earlier on in the game. This time it did result in the kill, though. It's going to put Prioritize in a bit of a tricky situation. Can look to try and catch this wave, but already Aurelia is back. And this time, Vampiric Scepter. This could be a quick back-to-back here, as Aurelia is just going to dish the damage out. No, they don't need to chase it, and instead can just deal half damage onto Prioritize. It's a little welcome back to lane present.
All Irelia players smiling and nodding at this inevitability in the mid lane. Everybody that doesn't play Irelia absolutely sickened to see this, as we just get infinite priority from Poofers, who is currently looking like the man of the match. I know we're only 10 minutes in, but hot damn, what a way to set the tone for game 1 of a best-of-3 series. So dominant as now, they're bringing this pressure into the bottom lane, forcing a base from Prioritize. This should result in a free first dragon.
It's as free as it can be. You got Trundle there going onto the Rift Herald in top side, so it's pretty much a straight 1-for-1 trade, a Rift for a Drake. And we're going to see that there comes the smite through onto that dragon. Trundle going to be able to pick up the Rift Herald. It's going to do something. He should be able to deploy that and at least gain a little bit of advantage back, as Jax can now play a little bit more aggressively in that top lane. It looks as though Lily has been chunked down quite significantly.
But the thing is, with both junglers lurking... Oh my god. Alright, never mind. I'll shut my mouth. Yeah, well played. We do have, though, Pentakill walking up to the top lane looking for the solo up there. Does have the ultimate available on the Sej. You'd think that they could chase this down if they want to commit the flash, but they won't burn it just for a Jax.
Vigar doing Vigar things inside of the bot lane as well. Look at those stacks coming through. Kimchi Bat, boom, hits the ultimate, leaves MF on one shot. That's going to be a back for MF.
Is the summoner blown?
Actually going to go and try and push this a little bit further.
No flash on Kimchi.
Prospect.
Exactly. It's dangerous to walk forward into a Misfortune Rail, especially when they have all the summoners in the world to reposition. The wombo combo potential from this bot lane, now that they both have their ultimates, is immense. Magnet Storm can hold and drag people around as the Misfortune ult unleashes hell. I will notice, though, that they appear to be building crit itemization despite having the Arcane Comet. Definitely abstract for the Misfortune. Curious to see what they end up moving that towards. Looks like it could be the Gale Force, either that or the Kraken Slayer. Give themselves a little bit extra safety or damage respectively. Keep our eyes on that one, as first, technically not a mythic, completed. Poofers with that Blade the Ruin King, recently buffed, is going to be looking to continue to just dominate mid lane.
And that's exactly what Poofs is going to be able to do there. We can see the Rift has been used on bot. He's going to get a good amount of the tower, but with the MF burning the ulti there, really to no avail. It is all just cursory to get rid of that Rift Herald and stop any further damage. It's going to do something good in terms of the plates, but realistically there hasn't been too much gained there from that Rift.
And it does start to beg the question of how is the red team going to actually go about and try and snowball further off this Irelia? Because, yes, they've managed to do a lot in isolation, just mid, but we're talking a lot about the pre-game. There's so many annoying things for this Irelia to run into. In the side lane, if Jax is doing alright, the ability to negate auto attacks makes them a very irritating matchup. Taking a look at the rest of them, the Trundle, just a great stat stick to hold Irelia down in a team fight. And then that's three brilliant zoners, honestly, with the Orianna, Vigar, Alistar. Poofers needs to have a monster game and keep this up.
Well, he's going to keep it up. Prioritize is going to fall yet again, as that's 3 for 3 inside of the mid lane for the Aurelia in solo kills. But it's going to have to go a little bit deeper than that. You know, you're going to have to look toward one of these side lanes to challenge on a little bit further. Bot crashing in now as well.
Like this.
You can see that Alistar is just going to try and hold off that wave. Sejuani looking for a little bit of an invade as well into that bot side jungle. Trundle get caught out on the red ward. Not going to be able to push any further up to Lilia.
Well, Demon Slayer knows they're there, but will they walk forward? Oh, this is great.
Oh, the Everfrost there coming through onto the Sedge just to try and bat him back a little bit. And there comes the cage down. Throw in the W Vigard. Pick up that free damage. Alistar soaking up a little bit of damage there for him as well. Irelia on the Krugs, though. This could be a little bit dangerous, depending on how far this bot lane chooses now to push up. We've got Trundle coming down as well. He's almost certainly going to come to blows with that Irelia at some point. Irelia are actually going to opt for the back here. That could be a really important fight that's going to go on down in the bot lane. We see Jax just getting slowed for a second.
No violence on the Rift. I say that top lane is probably the place to watch right now, because it is that Flash Ignite Jax being chased down. Oh, very scary stuff. Trundler's going to come up and try and protect their top lane, but at the end of the day, it's just going to be trying to hold on to the tower. All the plates are down across the map now. But as we take a look at the game state, honestly, it's a lot more even than the scoreboard would lead you to believe.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the gold difference, there's not a lot in it, really. The gold is pretty much identical. It might not be
is
after
this
this
level 3
little
again?
engagement, as we see Aurelia flashing on through, trying to dish that damage down onto the Jax. Jax just getting out of dodge there before he fell entirely to sleep. But here we see the little push-up that comes through. That's almost certainly going to be a dead Lilia. No flash left. Just got to go in and pick up that final kill. I think that Trundle did a fantastic job there to give that kill to Prioritize, because Prioritize was trying with all the might to try and get that kill done, and it did take a little bit of time. Poofus, he's managed to clean up one. Is he going to be able to clean up the second? Yes, he is. Look at that lifesteal on the Aurelia, and he will take the Krug as well. We can see the Drake goes over to the side of James Hetfield as well, and really that's going to be such a power position now for them to be in.
This is such a hysterically low DPS fight. The Veigar, no ultimate. Just a mage slapping 2 tanks. It's just, nothing's going to happen here, guys. You've got to back off now. As we do get important takeaways from that. Dragon going over to the red team. Irelia, utterly unstoppable in this game right now. They have got the Blade the Rune King matched by 5dog on the Jax, but at the end of the day, nobody can be on the same screen as this Irelia. They didn't even need a minion wave to dash that time. That was just raw engage into the 1v2.
Now, Aurelia's got 2 level advantage on pretty much everybody at the moment, and 3 on some. So really, Poofers can just do whatever they like, and they're going to go for Rift. Why not? They're more than capable of taking it down. That Blade of the Rune King is going to see them through the fight quite nicely. Lilia can come down and just lend a quick hand and speed that process up. Jax, no vision on what is going on here, can obviously sense, and he'll know that something is afoot. Realistically, this Rift Herald is going to be huge. I'm sure that it will get a lot more value than the previous Herald that we saw used by Lamp.
And I'm curious to see where they decide to put it down, because the thing is, if we take a look over at the Lamp squad, they have got really safe wave clear in the form of the Irelia and the... Sorry, the Irelia? No, that's the one thing that makes it not safe. In the form of the Orianna and the Veigar. I was just getting a little bit anxious about this bottom lane.
Oh, beautiful cage there from the Veigar. The stun from the Alistar. Ulti to finish off Undead Scar. It's going to be a freebie inside of the bot lane. Trundle not required. Rel can just back up now. Is the Veigar going to be the answer? Is the Veigar going to come head-to-head with this Irelia? It's not an ideal matchup, really, but you're looking toward the scoreboard there and seeing who's putting the shift in, who's hitting that carry, and really it is Aurelia only at the moment on that red side.
Big issue, though. If we take a look at the blue team's comp, their physical damage is Jax and Trundle. Okay, well, Jax is doing fine for himself. I'll be quiet on that one. Trundle is doing okay, but both of these champions are going to struggle to keep up with Irelia, meaning that Poofers could just opt for building things like the Hex Drinker, things like the Wit's End, become pretty much unkillable to the entire bottom half of the Lamp squad.
This could be an opportunity here to try and shut Poofers down, though. We see the big engage from the Alistar, and that is going to go on to Prioritize. That is a shutdown, and that is gold that he desperately needed. Trundle now just running off the rest of JCH back up into that mid lane. There's no objective up for them to get. The Dragon's 2 minutes away. The Rift has just been taken, but it's a chance to try and gain a little bit of vision and clear out those camps.
And you can tell that Poofers was being a bit overzealous there. They were sat on enough gold to just roar by that entire Gore Drinker added straight to their inventory off of that death. So we need to keep an eye if they can actually get away with that, because you see, it's just the Trundle drain on the ultimate. It makes you so squishy, especially at this point in the game where you're the only target being hit by everyone. Question is, what's going to happen with this top lane? We expected it to go heavily in Demon Slayer's favor. But with that early attention and repeat gank from Coco Chaney, honestly, I would say that 5dog is in a really good spot to start contesting the Irelia once they hit their own second item.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Aurelia certainly tried to bite off a little bit more than they could chew there. You know, the Rift, it was a good idea to use it mid, but did they really need to use it then on their own when they could have waited for a much better opportunity? I think, you know, maybe look back at that one and go, okay, maybe a little bit of a step too far. Maybe I'm not that strong just as of yet. Aurelia has since switched into the bot side. along with Orianna, as they just try and pick up that farm in the side lane. Still got 2 levels on Prioritize, and currently camping in that mid bush. This could spell disaster for Prioritize. As soon as he sees the show, he's like, yep, I can't be anywhere near that. Look at how boopy this Aurelia is. I mean, even that's probably a little bit too close. You're going to be getting yourself into some sort of a trade there. Aurelia's already showed that they're more than happy to tank a good couple of tower shots.
And the thing is about how this game plays out from here, we're talking about in the pick ban. Well, if Aurelia gets really far ahead, you've got a super irritating 1-3-1 comp on the red side, because the Aurelia could sit in a side lane and just win against basically everything that comes to get her. Question is now, what does that mean for the Dragon? Top has been completely abandoned. A lot of wombo combo potential. We've got to keep our eyes on that Rel. Nyx has got the Flash and the Magnet Storm available. On the other side, that Veigar with a stopwatch is utterly deadly to deal with.
Do you see the startings of an engagement here? Really more prioritising that blue buff, just making sure they get that extra farm down before they start this fight. But the Drake has been started. It's going to reset back. No team really wanting to commit to it just yet. A big sleep from Lilia could be that key engage, though. Poofers says, you know what, we're going to start this Drake, and we're going to see just exactly how this engage comes on through. Alistair and Trundle looking to be that front line, to be that engage. Lilia, are they going to be able to land the sleep? The cage just to zone players off now as well. Very tentative stuff here. This is the first Drake as well that Lamp have actually really contested for in a significant way.
And they need to, because if they lose this here, then that is going to be the death timer. 5 minutes away from risking losing Soul Point. Just enables so much snowballing.
There we go. See the Veigar landing that cage. Alistair straight on through. Prioritize, shutting down Undead Scar on that MF. Poofers trying to do something on the Irelia. Hits the ulti, dishing out some of that damage, but the kills are flooding in here for the blue side. Prioritize. That is exactly what you need from your mid laner. Trundle as well, doing bits inside of the team fight, completely isolating Poofers and shutting them down.
Not a single death on the entire squad. Their health bars there, just completely deceptive. And now, that has just bought you so much time to free scale. Take a look at Prioritize's inventory right now and their gold. They are just completely back in the game from nowhere. They were just looking like they had given up on the game score-wise. And now let's take a look at how that actually played out, because it's this cage that grabs the Misfortune, completely deletes Undead Scar. Move the Un from their name, as I love what 5Dog does here, right? They flash forward to get the stun onto the Irelia, completely locks Poofers out of the fight, and then it is like you said, everybody kill the Irelia, don't let them play the game, and then we can get everybody else in the meantime.
Great stopwatch as well from the Veigar to keep themselves alive, as the Irelia was obviously the main focus there, and Veigar too being that big focus of CC and that big focus of damage, so really good use of the item there. And as you've mentioned, Prioritize essentially has played shutdown meta here. You know, they've gone from being sort of 0-4 to now sitting 5-4 and actually looking like they can contend, especially in these team fights, with the synergy that Lamp have got on their side.
And on the subject of shutdowns, we haven't had bounties pop up this game because of how slow the turret takes have been. All of the side lane towers are alive except for that one bot lane tier 3 turret. Take a look at just the game right now. You can see the pressure potentially starting to get to the reigning champs, as this nuisance comp is doing so much to just buy space. And again, that was a very idealistic fight for Lamp. You killed the Misfortune before she got to ult, before she got to auto. She was just dead before anything happened. That is not what you expect to be the average way a fight plays out. But if another fight plays out even close to that, then potentially we could be just looking at a Baron into an endgame.
Poofer's going to start to feel this pressure, as we can see a convergence onto that bot lane. Trundle and Alistair just thinking better of it for the time being. Instead, just going to sit and farm that jungle. Maybe try and zone out the Rel in the mid lane. Going to be walking down that river. Really nothing to fight for at the moment. Baron is, of course, up. The eyes are going to have to be on that Drake timer, as Trundle is going to in fact come down. Orianna hitting there with the CC. Trundle denying any sort of action there from the Irelia. The ulti even not enough to save them. Prioritize gets away there with a skinny amount of HP left, but it's another shutdown on that Irelia, who, to be honest, for the past 5 or so minutes, hasn't really done anything.
And the thing is, you'd want to be using that Aurelia's pressure bot to force the Baron, to force attempts like that, but you're against a Veigar. You can't do that. He just predators forward, puts down the cage. Well, okay, and this happens.
I mean, you can Predator forward and put down the cage under the tower
Oh
if you
my
like.
God.
MF hits with the reverse ult. The stopwatch coming in clutch as well. Veigar not going to be able to get out of that one alive as we see the TP come in as well. Lilia looking to try and join this fight as well. Strundle desperately trying to circumvent that wall and get himself out of dodge, but Alistair will fall as well. Lilia almost certainly going to be finished off here. Is there going to be any follow-up? Is there going to be any response from Jax? Can Jax get himself onto Nyx? Thinks better of it in the moment. Knows that Sejuani's there and there's potential for that DC.
Immensely close. Barely a 1 for 2. Undead Scar walking out on... Must have been single-digit HP. That was ridiculously close. But the thing is, because Irelia was dead at the start of that play and MF was forced out, no damage whatsoever for the James Clemens side. They just couldn't actually kill anyone after Demon Slayer went down in that middle part. I'm amazed, actually, that they didn't get chased down further, because Sejuani, Rel, we saw it earlier when they're fighting Veigar Alistair, was, well, it's a tickle fight. It's not really much DPS.
No, there's a lot of shields and there's a lot of tank involved there in that engagement, isn't there? This could be an interesting one if Jax does choose to push this a little bit further. We've got Nyx coming down here on the Rel just to show a little bit of face. The Blue Ward is going to call all of that info out, and Jax can just look at trying to pick up the last remnants of this wave. Alistair going to come down for a little bit of support as well, but shouldn't be required here. 30 seconds until that Drake.
It's a late back from Poofers. They are going to be running here just at the last second. Same for Pentakill. Completely giving up the territory over to the Lamp squad. Veigar has TP back in. We can see Kimchi appear out of nowhere. Similar for top side, Demon Slayer is actually going to opt to just not even come down. So we get these two facing off. I think this is actually a 4v4 that you really would like to take for James Clemens' squad. That not having that Veigar just gives you so much more potential to dive in without remorse for this Poofers Irelia. Will they find the window for it and get themselves up to soul point on this dragon?
We see the TP coming in now, so it is going to be a 5 versus 5 as Lilia just in that mid lane going to try and make their way down
the wombo
as
potential
well.
Here. Oh, I can see the combo. There's a montage waiting to happen in this river right now.
Veigar actually going to go and chase out the Lilia and make that a prioritized target. Lilia hitting the stopwatch there in an attempt to try and stay alive. Don't forget, we've still got this turret up, so the fight can't go too far. Look at the sleep! A 4-person sleep followed up with the MF ult. Irelia throwing down in there as well. And Veigar, you ain't going to get anywhere. Shut down. A clean sweep here from James St. Clemens. They're going to go straight to the Baron.
Demon Slayer utterly shutting down the enemy team in one fell swoop. That was beautiful. They're going to be able to scare the Baron. They're probably going to be able to pivot it back down to the Dragon, because we saw that Kimchi actually burned the teleport at the start of that. Let's take a look at just how slow that play was, because it was Lamp that actually forced it onto the Lilia, and I thought after the stopwatch went down, well, there's no way for them to do anything, but so beautiful. Sets up for the Misfortune, sets up for the rest of the comp, and infinite value from that sleep is going to put the entirety of the JCHS squad in a winning position now. Goldly pivoting back up from Dragon on their favor. They have the soul point. You couldn't be in a better spot.
You've got to be happy after that one. Lilia played it beautifully, just on the edge of the fight, really. Not looking to be the center of attention, but inadvertently became the center of attention. Big 4-person sleep coming in, and it's, you know, you've got MF's ult in there, you've got Aurelia's ult, and you've got Aurelia's dash ability there on the Q. You're going to be able to clean up from that situation, and that is exactly what happened. And as quick as a flash, the game has shifted balance once again. You know, it looks as though we've got a bit of an advantage brewing here for James Clemens, because that's the last team fight. They've just got Baron off it, they've just got Drake off it, they've put themselves in a really good position for Soul. And it looks as though Lamp once again are going to be fighting from behind, very similarly to the way they were in the early game.
But we have to remember now that Demon Slayer had maximum value there. They cannot do that a second time. They do not have the flash available for another 3 minutes. The entirety of the Baron duration will be timed out by then, so the question is, how many towers can you actually get? Because we see that from Lamps, they're actually donating a lot of resources, having Trundle shadowing this Orianna bot, hoping that they can get the flashless Lilia and get some value off of it. At the end of the day, the Veigar can wave clear pretty freely unless you go for the dive, but as soon as Trundle is seen, which they are now, this is signaling you've got to go for something. You have to try and accelerate the game state here. You have everything you could ever want to kill this Veigar.
Rel really looking for an engage here, Sejuani as well. Two champions that really can just get in and amongst that action. Lilia still just slow pushing in on this bot wave. The Baron isn't really being utilised to its fullest potential here. You're going to have to either go for the fight or pick another lane. Maybe push down mid, try and get a little bit of advantage elsewhere. Lilia did stick around long enough to just be a bit of a pain for the Orianna.
It's a full 4v4 in the top side. Double TPs currently in bottom lane, and you can tell whenever the scoreboard disappears, that is the preparation for action. But it looks like this time around, won't get anything. We're just going to get almost worry from the James Clemens squad. There's a window.
Potential here for the Lilia.
Oh, I like this a lot.
Oh, forces out the flash as well, but is going to get enough damage down. Doesn't even tank a single shot. It's going to be a free tower. Meanwhile, we got action topside. MF hitting there with the ulti, zoning out the Lamp players and just pushing them off, allowing that tower to be removed. Still a little bit of Baron buff here remaining. They may be able to push on a little bit further, but I would say that that's probably worth.
Yeah, patience is a virtue, apparently. Will they be able to open up the base? It looks like not. They get every tower that isn't there, though. And I would say, if you aren't able to end the game, that is probably the ideal outcome. Because now, you've completely removed any way for the Lamp squad to get vision safely. You have to be face-checking into bushes, each of which could be hiding. The Rel Wombo setting up into the Misfortune. We've seen it over and over, and there's a reason it is such a scary sight to have on the other squad. As now, this dragon spawning in a minute 40, Lilia's going to have flash for them. Poofers is going to have flash for them. I am very curious to see how on earth Lamp can look to approach this, because Prioritize in that bot play, they burned the flash on this Orianna. They are not safe anymore. They are target number 1 to be going for.
Gold lead has extended a little bit as well. A little less than, well, around 5k advantage here, sorry, for JCH. They're going to look to try and get the most out of that and go back and spend before getting themselves into this dragon fight. Got plenty of vision in that bot side as well, and realistically Lamp at this moment, they've just got to try and clear out that jungle, try and clear out a little bit of that vision and get some of their own. Lilia maybe caught top side. Jax does manage to dodge the sleep. No engage going to happen.
They're pretty reliably able to kite away. Unless you have 2 members now, it's nigh impossible to stay on top of Demon Slayer. As we see on the other side of the map, final bases coming through. Poofers picks up the Death Stance. Their potential to pop off in these fights is immense. Able to reset. Oh, hold on.
It's going to be a big kill over onto the Lilia. 700 gold shut down there as well, and burnt the flash.
Oh,
Does have TP up, but 50 seconds. The Drake's going to be, or should be long over by then with that advantage.
Come on, Poofers. We've seen you do this time and time again. Kimchi is a very squishy Veigar. They're prepping the stun. Not going to be able to get anything. This is actually just going to be a forfeit of the dragon now. Okay. We do have James Clemens rushing down mid, trying to get something, but it's just going to be a play for priority. You can't really get anything off this. The Baron is spawning in 20. You can maybe pivot straight over with exceptional vision coverage. You have to give them credit over there. Anytime you walk forward, it is going to be potentially risking that game-losing play for Lamp. They know they have numbers advantage for at least 7 more seconds. This is safe. This is good timing for them. Playing respectful, but not dropping anything. My lord, you could cut the tension with a knife.
Poofer's just going to make sure that that mid wave continues to push on in. Interestingly, Lilia pathing toward bot side, not immediately coming over toward Baron. Does have TP in back pocket though, so can look to make a quick play over toward that Baron. Baron will be started.
That
No
one
vision
ward,
there for the blue side.
it lets them know that they are pivoting over. Will Lilia insta-TP? Demon Slayer, you have to make your decision now because your team's going to get trapped in this pit.
There we go. We can see the Baron has been stolen. In fact, Trundle getting in there and doing the damage. The cage coming out from the Vigar and damage continuing to rain down. But again, a huge sleep. And the Irelia ulti as Poofers is looking to try and shut down Kimchi is going to do just exactly that. That Vampiric Scepter and the Blade of the Ruined King doing a lot of work, but not enough. Trundle is going to finish things off there as Jax shuts the Irelia down. That's going to be a Baron steal. You're going to be wishing that you TP'd up a little bit earlier, Demon Slayer.
Coco Chaney, possibly if the game-winning play, they can just walk it down mid. Let's take a look at that replay as the smite comes down and the wombo combo looks great, but spoiler, this is another fight where we get no DPS from Undead Scar. They got picked off by the Vigar cage again, and it just means that playing into this one, man, you can see Poofers trying their absolute damnedest, but not enough stats in the world can beat up a Trundle with friends there. It won't be the end of the game, though. It'll just be the inhib tower dropping. 3 minutes to go until that next dragon spawns. I am terrified at the prospect for what is to come in the next fight, because now we've got a lot of important cooldowns gone. Flashes from basically every member bar the jungle for the red team. On the other side, still got 2 flashes gone. 3, the AHSAA only having their Hex Flash to go trivialize. Hoping that that is not going to be a trivial occurrence for the next play. Oof.
It's a fight that really didn't cost Lamp all too much because, like you say, they've come out of there with 2 flashes up. Jax has still got his Ignite. We've still got a TP in the bot lane for what it's worth at this moment. It's things that are, you know, starting to stack and starting to add up a little bit more as opposed to how much was spent there by JHCH in an attempt to try and get that Baron and going on for a little bit, maybe a little bit early, especially not having their full 5 up there. This can just now be sort of sent down mid and almost a little bit of the reverse dished out here onto JCH, making sure that that mid lane is going to be keeping on pushing.
No tower to defend them.
Yeah, Super Minion's not on the way just yet, but Lily are actually going to be coming in with a bit of counter there. They're going to be trying to push in that bot.
There's no TP though, so this is really dangerous. If you don't base right here, there's the potential to just force the game-ending play. Cage is down.
Everfrost does get sent on through there. It's a tentative start to what could be a much bigger engage. There is ulti available, particularly on the MF and on Poofers.
Demon Slayer. Oh, this is such a dangerous dance.
There he goes, going to go for that big engage there. Sejuani getting completely zoned on out. Alistair hitting Undead Scar and removing them from action. Pentakill next to fall, and Poofer's just left to watch. Hits the ulti, but gets caught up in the stun. Beautiful stuff there from the Alistair. That is going to be the first map here going toward Lamp. They have done a fantastic job there.
The team we saw coming in today, first seed against the reigning champs, somehow, with all these perceptions we're looking at saying, oh, they've got such a linear way to approach the draft. There's not that many avenues for them to outplay. They get their material, they get the Jax in the top lane, and they have a great series of comeback plays. A dire start for Prioritize, but they solidified themselves later on into that game. Wow, okay, that is a game 1.
I think that you mentioned there, Prioritize did a really good job of not getting disheartened in that early game, you know, suffering greatly at the hands of Aurelia. Got killed 3 times solo in the mid lane. But ultimately for me, it was the teamwork that really shone through there. We barely mentioned Undead Scar's name, MF, the ADC, unless they were dying, because they were just getting zoned out of every single fight, unable to be activated. We saw a couple of ultis here and there, but nothing significant. And if you're able to really zone out somebody important like the ADC, you're just leaving far too much there for the Irelia to do, and that's exactly what happened. Good teamwork prevailed there for Lamp.
As we're going to take a quick glance through some of the replays from that game, and like you say there, it felt like an if statement. If Undead Scar is alive, complete W over to the James squad. But then if they are not there, Lamp ran over the game, and part of that came down to the fact that top lane got shut down immediately. Great pathing from Coco Chaney, recognizing the fact that this is such a terrifying swing lane. Up until that point, it was an awful spot, but that early acceleration gave all they needed to give 5dog the confidence, I suppose, to play out this lane. Admittedly, it didn't start off well. Even with that, as we saw, when you don't have the Trundle in your pocket, We're just getting the isolated 1v1. They got something, but it wasn't for a massive amount of time.
I think 5dog played well as well. You know, you consider the Lilia top pick, it's a little bit niche. It's not something that you see all the time. It's obviously viable and it obviously works, but you've got to ask at what point did that come to be the detriment? You know, when you've got that Lilia and you've got that ability to just entirely neutralize people. The sleeps are really important in the team fight, but that's the only place that we really saw value, and even then it wasn't enough.
It was a massive amount of value when it worked, but it felt like this team was far too conditional. They needed everything to go right or everything went wrong. So my biggest question coming into heading in for our next game, what can they do to adapt? Because this was a mishmash composition. Like, it looks perfect, right? This is a razor cake. It looks great until you realize how difficult it is to get all those pieces to align. You're like, wow, you have the MF and the Rail and the Lilia. That's like all the pieces you need to the Millennium Puzzle of victory. And then the enemy team has a Veigar Alistair who just turns that off at every turn.
You just throw an Alistair into the mix and it really does ruin the party, doesn't it? You know, Veigar's going to be there with that Cage CC, with that Everfrost. It's never going to be a fun time. And then you've got the reliability of someone like Prioritize on the Orianna in the mid lane, who just did their job and did it exceptionally well.
Exactly, and I think that as far as it goes, there's not too much left to say for that first game. So I'm pretty pleased to, you know, get ready to glance at our notes and hope we can find an avenue for James Clemens to get around that weird draft victory that we didn't expect from Lamp.
Absolutely. We're going to throw it to a very short break, guys. We're going to be back very, very soon. Don't go anywhere. We have got map number 2 of this best of 3 coming right up. Hello everybody and welcome back to the PlayVS Alabama League of Legends Spring Grand Finals. My name is Ollie Exotroika and joined here by Melvin on the desk. We are going to be analysts, we are going to be your casters for the evening, and we are returning where we left off. We have already seen one of these matches play on out, and we are going to be hitting our second game here, or second match, sorry, inside of this best of 3. We had, by all accounts, a bit of a bloodbath in the first map. If you did miss it, where were you? Loveless Academic Magnet Program were able to take that 1-0 against James Clemens High School. And, well, we are here to see that conclusion. See if it's going to be a 2-0 or if we are going to be pushed here to all 3 tonight.
Yeah, if we see Lamp win this first game, then they will be walking away with the victory, taking the crown away from last year's winners. Which is on the other side. They got James Clemens looking down like, wait, we came here to retain our trophy. And after a game like that, absolutely bonkers. We're about to get into pick ban and we can start talking about the important ones. Okay, let's roll off. We're on patch 12.8, live patch, things like Swain update, blah, 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 blah. Important picks from last game. That Veigar that was taken away from Poofers in the mid lane. They're now actually banning it themselves on the blue side. We saw massive pinching go onto them. The Gangplank also removed. And then it came down to them playing the Irelia and absolutely stomping. Poofers had a killer game. Wasn't able to transition lead elsewhere though. Great
lane, but not a great game. The Riven is going to be the ban there from Lamp. That's the same top lane ban that they did previously. To be fair, Lamp did a really good job of pressuring that top lane into picking a bit of an off-pick in the Lilia. And that Lilia, again, it was all or nothing, Hero or Zero. It either won the team fight or it just didn't do enough eventually. And we can see there that, well, we're not going to see any Lilia this game, as that is going to be removed as well.
Will they allow the Jax to go through? Demon Slayer has got a lot of champions in their pool. They've got things that do very well if they are given the chance to snowball. They have lost 2 of them so far in the form of that Riven and the Lilia, but the rest of them are countered by the Jax. The fact that is left open signifies to me that we are going to see this player left quite far down in the draft looking for some degree of a counter pick, because you have to imagine after that previous game, 5dog should get the Jax again.
You would think that he gets the priority there on the Jax. Nocturne, Gangplank coming through there as our final 2 to be removed. Gangplank. The old Gangplank mid again. That's what, that's sort of in honor of it. Something you hated, don't you? But
it's such a weird pick conceptually. The fact that they have incited so much fear, though, just goes to show how good Poofers is.
It really does. And Poofers is obviously skilled. You know, we saw him play the Aurelia. We saw him, you know, really hyper carry in the early part of the game, but just not able to transition that through. So far, Hecarim being picked up as our first pick, and then Norseless to respond.
So, we need to mention the fact that we actually see a substitution, by the way, coming in from James Clemens, and the reason I was waiting for it is because it's their support player. Nick's getting subbed out for treble now, and the whole point that I want to bring to this is they are a Brom player. Brom decimates the two champions that Lamp have just locked in. While it's not the best pairing with the Hecarim, it is a killer one to lock in there. Thank you for listening.
Well, there it is. The Brom is going to get locked on into the Jhin Nautilus combo. When we were doing a little bit of prep about these teams and we were trying to figure out just exactly who plays what and get a little bit of background knowledge and stuff, you did see, didn't you? I think you had the James Clemens team to do, and I was doing Lamp, and it was very much like, if these guys play Braum, like it's almost going to be all over sort of thing, because this guy is almost a one trick.
Everything that Trivialized plays, with the exception of Ray that Lulu, as you can see why it was banned away, gets smashed by Brom. And the fact that you have the Jhin, who, the reason why this goes so in favor of the Brom, we'll go into a lot more detail of it later, is because you can block basically everything these two do for a massive value. We see now the Xayah nerfed on this patch, still quite good, and that Jax, so essential. Removing the Poofer's Irelia. Question is, are you going to find another ban to take away from this player in mid? Because we were sat there going, what on earth do they even play? And they've just pulled out a disgusting Irelia 1v9 performance.
Well, they're going to have to pick something. Evelyn removed there by JCH. All on Lamp to decide what they want to try and do with this. They're going to go for the Vladimir. Vladimir was banned last game as well. That sort of frustrating mid to deal with.
Okay. So
very wide open here, though.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot still to come with both bot lanes locked in, but the solo lanes still to come for James Clemens. And that Hecarim, it gives you some good engage, but you need a secondary engager. You need somebody else that can go with them. Because the Brom and the Xayah are not very good at that. They're much better for letting the enemy team run into you, which admittedly, the Lamp squad has kind of opted into at this point with the Brom and the Jax. So I'm curious to see how they're going to pivot this around as we get a Fiddlesticks. That is an abstract approach.
It certainly is. Fiddlesticks, they're going to be locked in by Lamp. How will it be responded? Still going to pick the mid, still going to pick that top. Going to go for the Ahri mid. Makes a lot of sense. Ahri could be very good here in this composition. A lot of mobility, a lot of ability to trade off inside of that mid lane.
It's a safe blind pick, it works well with what the team has, and it is a secondary engager to go on with the Hecarim. Followed up by a Kennen. I think that this time around, a very standard, easy to execute comp for the James squad, and that was one of the biggest issues with their first game. They didn't have a comp that they could easily execute it on. They needed everything to go perfect, or it just didn't work. This time around, though, it's cookie cutter. You can't get more cookie cutter than a Kennen going in, followed up by Friends.
Kennen and Friends is now what we're going to be billing this one as. We have the Corki to wrap things out as well. Corki into Ahri inside of that mid lane. Obviously, you do get the advantage there of picking that mid lane last. But with some of the strange picks that came before it, looking toward you, Fiddlesticks, you really had your opportunity to pick your mid lane before, if you would have so wished. So this is going to be our composition for this game. As you say, much more cookie cutter, a lot more conservative here from JCH. And I think that just goes to show the weight of this map.
And question is, where do you want to start talking about? Because there's a lot to go over. Even if it's just talking about the potential micro of how these players are going to be feeling. Because remember, for everybody at home, all these players are currently playing on stage, effectively looking at each other, able to communicate, look side to side with their teammates, and that just adds that extra layer of pressure, especially for Treble on this Brom, who is the sub coming in that needs to save the series for this squad.
It's got to be a good feeling, if you're picked as the one to come in and save the series. It's you're going to feel pretty good about that, but you've of course got to live up to it. I think the point that he makes really interesting about being able to look over at your teammate's screen and gain that little bit of information, as well as having access to being a coach. I imagine someone stood behind them, gassing them up, making sure that they're in the right frame of mind and stuff. There's a lot going on here, more than just the league that we're seeing on the screen. These guys are shoulder to shoulder were sat in the venue. So that's something exciting at least as well, and of course adds to the nerves. We've already seen someone like Poofy is going to rise to that occasion.
And that is the kind of player you want to have trying to fight back from this game deficit. On the Ahri as well, brilliant playmaking champion, completely fine in the meta right now. She recently had that rework, so now she gets more dashes if she gets a takedown while she is mid-ultimate. And across the enemy team, I'm starting to look for targets, because the thing is, you don't really have a front line. Nautilus, not like the Alistair of last game. This champion is squishy if you pick them off, and you have great tools to do so. You get the Ahri, the follow-up from the rest of your team is stellar. Bromslow just is effectively a stun before the stun comes in with how much you can layer on top of it. So I really like what the JC squad has got going for them, and I'm curious to see if Lamp can do what they did best in the previous game and really shine that spotlight on how the enemy team wants to play, because that was the reason we saw Lamp win the first game. They were so good at saying, alright, Poofers, they're super fed, this Irelia. We're just going to completely kill everybody around, stall them, commit flashes to keep the Irelia stunned in a fight, not to burst her, but to make sure the rest of the team is gone, and then we can target everything onto them. So well executed in multiple of these fights, eliminating Undead Scar on the Misfortune. That makes me think potentially that's one of the reasons they went to the Xayah, so they get a bit more agency to play these fights.
Potentially, you know, they're going to be looking to try and control that environment a little bit better than they did previously and not just rely on that hyper carry inside of the mid lane, and I don't think that they're going to get it now. I do believe we are a few seconds away from throwing on into this game. Of course, it is a big one. This is really potentially for all the marbles here. If Loveless Academic Magnet Program are able to get this one over the line, then they will take the series 2-0. But it is time for James Clems to see what they're about, you know, and bring this super sub in and see if it is going to be that secret sauce that we're hoping it is.
Because remember, this was not a stomp in the first game. It was a bloodbath both ways. And now it's time to see what gets solidified. With this Fiddlesticks coming in, can Lamp secure the Series 2-0? They've got the Predator. And I've got a lot to say about this champion. It is recently buffed, a lot more healing on the W now when they go to drain in a team fight later on. Question is going to be what you can actually do to punish them. Because if you're playing against the Fiddlesticks, the scariest thing is not knowing where they are. If you have no idea where this champion is, they're so good at jump scaring, they literally fear you with any ability from Fog of War.
And that's something that we did actually see JC do very well in the previous game, was their warding. Their warding was exceptional, especially around objectives, and it was, you know, it almost felt as though Lamp were on the back foot some of the time when it came to vision, and especially around the objective and the objective timers.
I am curious to see if this is a visual bug or if Prioritize has forgotten to buy items. I'm going to anecdotally say that I remember we were playing at the Insomnia Festival with my team at uni, and our top laner walks into lane and just says, as the minions spawn, me, jungler, what's up? I forgot to buy items. Get solo kill in the first minute. Prioritize, can you pull off that magic?
Well, we will have to see.
Hey,
good. There we go.
He did buy. He got
the
okay,
tier
cool.
and a couple of potions. He's good. He's good.
He found them in the back pocket on the way to lane.
That's always handy. It does happen more than I care to admit, to be fair, but let's see how these early lanes go. Obviously, bot lane going to be a lot of pressure there for that early engage. There is the potential with the Nautilus to land that early hook, and Jin on the 4th shot can, of course, deal a good chunk of damage. Opted for the boots as the start, as opposed to a Doran's or a longsword. Isn't going to quite give him that amount of damage, but I suppose he does get that slight mobility boost.
You get the mobility, and you get to opt into 4 potions, which means that as far as you go for the lane, any heavy trades that go out of your favour, you'll be able to heal and back up between that and the fact that you have the Fleet Footwork rune. You'll see that they opted for the cleanse this game. So many hard CC effects on the enemy team. Every single member of the James Clemens squad has a way to stun you up. So you really do need something like this cleanse, meaning that without the safety of a heal, you kind of have to forfeit lane priority.
You can see that forfeit coming through now as the bot wave is going to push in. Maybe even stack under the tower.
5-Dog in foreign territory, able to push the lane. Something
Yeah,
they didn't get the privilege of last game.
I was going to say, 5-Dog is enjoying this right now, isn't he? He's like, lane that I can actually push and try and control a little bit more.
And almost as if Destiny could hear him, the enemy jungler steps into the river. Curious to see if they'll be able to escape away from this one. Again, opting for the Ignite and the Flash this time, with the Grasp the Undying on the Jax. Do need to play a little bit safe. They know that Pentakill is in the topside river. They are susceptible, and we could see a potential inverse of the early gank from last game. Oh, I love this.
Oh, there we go. That's that fear you were talking about as Fiddlesticks comes on down. Nautilus lands the hook. Xayah, it's time to get yourself out of there. Braum is not going to make it anywhere. First blood there going on to the Jhin. Xayah is going to be looking to get away here as well. Oh, tank the shot. No, doesn't go greeting after it. That fourth shot just so badly timed there for him. It's still going to give him that gold advantage from that first blood. And I don't think that it's over down there just yet.
Absolutely stellar from Lamp. Once again, this jungler, Coco Chaney, they dominated the top lane just with that early gank last time around. And on the Fiddlesticks, a similar performance. Managing to swing a very pivotal matchup on that bottom lane. We're talking about so much in the champion select. We were talking about in our prep that I was hoping we would see treble, because on this Braum, it just shuts down so many things. You can block the fourth shot. You can eat so many stuns and beat up the enemy melees. But look at this. Just Coco Chaney once again getting the better of the enemy team off of a bit of smart early game pathing.
Yeah, Treble's got to feel pretty bad about that one. Just goes for the ward in the bush. Senses that something's not quite right there. But his spider senses weren't tingling strongly enough, early enough there. It's going to be a bit of a loss there inside of the bot lane. Does give that first blood onto the Jhin, and they can back and actually pick up 2 longswords and complete those mobility boots, the Swifties. So they're going to have even more increased movement.
Double stun. Oh, that was beautiful. Nicely done. Picking up the Predator off of the gold influx from that first base. Gives them that extra movement speed for these early ganks, means that Coco Chaney can do what they do best and dominate just off of showing up at the right place. Perfect timing.
Kills seeming to come fairly easily here for Lamp. There's going to be that one traded back though, but the mid lane just seems to be neutralizing out somewhat. Honestly, the sound of Fiddle channeling it almost gives me the heebie-jeebies. Because it's just not a sound that you like to hear, is it? As you can see,
it's not. It's unsettling.
We get to hear it again there. It is very unsettling. I'm not sure if that's a different skin that gives a different sound, but it is very unsettling.
You know something I just noticed? Undead Scar's playing the Ahri. Poofers is actually on the Xayah this game.
Oh, we've actually had a little bit of a switch up. Okay.
We've not only had the substitution coming in, we've had the lane swap as well. As Undead Scar, the misfortune from last game, who could not get into a lot of these fights, is now playing a multiple dash Ahri to do their best to get out. A role swap mid-series along with a substitution. You could see all the stops being pulled out by James Clemens High School. Can't believe I didn't see that one sooner. It was just the kind of thing where you take it as a foregone conclusion. But one of the biggest things we said about Poofers was, well, the thing is, they don't really play mid. They are an ADC player by heart. And the fact that we do get this Ahri from Undead Scar, time to find out if they can impact the map in a way that we didn't get from Poofers last time around.
It's nice to see that aggression and that acknowledgement from Lamp as well. That, you know, they've spent quite a bit of time inside of the bot lane, and they know that that's somewhere that they can't afford to let get ahead in any way, shape or form. So not giving that Braum chance to be activated, constantly keeping that wave pushed under, and just letting the Jhin build up that gold lead. He's of course already got the kill, and he's about 10 CS, 7 CS ahead at the moment. I don't think that anybody knows currently. We've got Fiddlesticks hanging around in the bush. Jhin just trying to bait out a bit of an engagement there. Nautilus seeing if he can land a clean line of sight for that hook to go through.
Remember, Fiddlesticks will immediately fear if they do get the ultimate off. But I think, actually, Trivialize may have ratted them out. An imposter among us using their support item, it shows where that little tick of gold goes over to a friend, and you could see it ping to the Fiddlesticks in the bush. So Poofers and Treble playing safe as can be.
Oh, actually hit the flash and the hook, though. The W there lands from Jin. Fiddlesticks pushes on through, and Braum does fall. Hecarim, though, trying to come in with that response and that rebuttal. Nautilus, great hook there landed. Hecarim does have to dash out of the way. Jin's W there, not going to be enough to hit that final route. And the net positive is going to be another kill here going toward Lamp.
Value on value. Not only do you get a successful play in bot, but you also force Pentakill to burn the Ghost and the ultimate. Meaning this Hecarim is basically useless to you for the next 3 minutes or so. At very least until they get the ultimate, and even then it's going to be opportunistic. You pick yourself up a dragon. You can't double down on another win already, Lamp. This is great from them in the early game.
Well, we can see the Drake coming through now as well. Nobody there in position to contest it. Fiddle going to instead choose to evolve his smite in the river. Great little replay of this engagement. I tell you what, I love the flash engage there from the Nort. It was brilliantly timed because we knew that Poofers and Pentakill were playing quite cautiously down there inside of the bot lane, but 2 critical hooks to land. Obviously, the second one didn't really result in anything, but it still forced the Hecarim to run away.
And it feels like almost the running go of this series is when you get counterpick in a lane, well, a little bit of jungle intervention from Coco can really turn that one back in your favor. Nothing but credit over to this Fiddlesticks being able to impact this bot lane and put Poofers down. In the previous game, we saw basically no attention onto this Irelia that Poofers was playing until the best part of 15 minutes, but now they recognize this player is the one to watch, and they are shutting them down from minute 1.
Undead Scar not having the best of times here either as he continually gets poked. Does actually manage to land the charm there, though. It's going to be an engagement that just fizzles out. You get the harrowing sound that is the channel from Fiddlesticks. Trying to clear out that top side. No farm to be found here in the bot lane for Poofers just at the moment as he does surrender that lead again a little bit.
It starts to beg the question of what do you do if you're James Clemens High School? Where do you actually force the play? Because we talked about this bot lane is so good at, or it's meant to be, better said, I put the asterisk on there, good at eating up pressure. And it's been eating the pressure, but they've been handing over kills in the form of treble. Pentakill's here. The ultimate's back up. They can look for this.
Going to see the W come out there from the Jhin. It's just a simple case of walking away there for the Nautilus. Really not wanting any part of that fight. Corky could be the next target as Hecarim does path up there toward that mid lane. There's going to be a bit of ward for him to deal with there, however, in the mid bush. Still 2 minutes away from the Drake, so really time to farm up for Hecarim and, you know, see if he can take any opportunities elsewhere. Top lane's been incredibly quiet thus far, though, in contrast to the first game.
Demon Slayer just saying, alright, fine. I'm not playing one of my signature picks. I'm just going to play this lane safe. I can stun you whenever you jump in, so I don't need to be too worried about the Jax. Trivialize, looking for it again.
Trivialize is a demon on these hooks, continually landing them, but this time the Hecarim is there for the response, looking really to punish this Jhin as the Ignite is eaten on up. It's going to be the Nautilus to fall first, but I'm sure he won't be the last. Hecarim somehow manages to stay alive before Fiddle hits him with the double. Braum, try and block that as good as you can. Makes it out of there alive. A clean 2 for 2 there in the bot lane.
All that money inject. Hold on a minute. Demon Slayer is skedaddling out of here on a sliver of HP. 3 summoners down in this top lane. They have the teleport to come back. No idea how that managed to go down, but it will, I would say, go in Demon Slayer's favor because they can TP back in and comfortably eat up those minions.
We get a replay of what happened here inside of the bot lane.
But
another classic engage.
Oh, it was so beautiful. The fact that they get the chain CC onto the Xayah, Poofers not able to play the fight. Able to collect up 2, and I think that you're going to be counting your blessings that you managed to get away here with a 2 for 2, because Treble by all merits, looked like they were about to go down and hand over a massive snowball to this Fiddlesticks, but they are already far enough ahead.
I think the Fiddlesticks recognise that, you know, you can't always look a gift horse in the mouth, and sometimes you've just got to let that last kill go away, even though they're on 1 HP. You know, just to play on the safe side of things and show a little bit of restraint there in doing so.
Okay. Not going to see the Scuttle Crab stolen from just in their face as Pentakill facing off against this Fiddlesticks. They're a level down, despite nigh equal farm, just from all this ganking pressure. Important itemization choices. We see that Coco Chaney, because they went for those early boots to get the Predator active and ready to go, they are not at their mythic yet. They got a stopwatch. Hold on a moment.
Well, they're just trying to be that big shield. The root does come in from Xayah, but doesn't actually manage to land the root onto the Jhin. Just onto the Nautilus. Going to be a slightly extended trade there, but there's potential for a little bit of something top. There's going to be no vision there either. Pentakill should be able to make his way down beautifully as Kenna moves in with the stun. Jack's dodging as best he can. Eventually is going to get taken on down. Closer than maybe they would have liked. And the bot lane is kicking off as well. Xayah ults beautifully there into the Nautilus. Does manage to dodge out at the same time as that invulnerability kicks in. Jhin left to just try and pick up the pieces.
Important choice from Poofers. They did not go for the lethality build that was nerfed on this patch. The Q damage bumped way down, along with the cooldown later on. They have gone for the attack speed build with that lethal tempo. We touched on it a little bit earlier, but the fact that they have this Gale Force now gives them so much versatility in the fights. Outplay potential galore, but bot lane, hold on a minute.
Ooh, Fiddlesticks is going to come on in and just say, no, not today. Flashes the mastery. The disrespect. Jhin pops the ultimate as well, just to guarantee there's going to be a couple of kills there going into the bot's favour. Corki. I'm not sure why the Rift Herald's been called straight away.
Oh, please tell me it wasn't a trinket usage gone wrong.
Could have been a trinket usage gone wrong, because that's just going to give nothing. I get it that Drake's up, but no one's in a position to really do anything about it.
Oh, that was awful. Thing is that, oh no, there's nothing to say for that one. That's just one of those moments that really hurt to see for you. Because now, like you said, Dragon is available. Hecarim does not have the ultimate. They are on a sliver of HP, no chance to steal this. And this is Coco Chaney taking the game all for themselves so far. The thing is about this Fiddlesticks is that they are insanely far ahead right now. They basically one-shot everybody on the enemy squad. And the worst part about it is you think, okay, maybe we can kill them and collect that shutdown. They picked up a stopwatch to make sure that they're safe in the process. Like, this pick is absurd right now.
Fiddlesticks just continues to get stronger. You mentioned full mythic, stopwatch. Got the Dark Seal with 8 stacks as well. Going to be a lot to try and bring down eventually. You can see the power just demonstrated there. Hits the rocket belt at the perfect time to catch up to the Xayah, and well, there wasn't a great deal that Braum could do.
The thing is, this is all just them being in the right place, right time, which is exactly what Coco Chaney has been known for. The entire point of Fiddlesticks is if you position well and you can get sneaky plays, this champion feels broken. You basically can't play against it. If you ever are just looking straight up at the enemy team, you can't do what Hecarim does, where you run down a lane and get someone. Does mean that as the game goes on, though, hold on.
Well, maybe that's what Hecarim's going to do just here. Runs down the river into the lane and just get somebody. There is going to be a ward there in the tri-bush that just deters Fiddle from pushing through. I mean, Penta's got no business challenging on to that, really.
Can't do much. The thing is about Fiddlesticks is if you can't interrupt the drain, then you basically can't fight him. Hecarim has the 2 instances of CC if they have the ult available, but you really don't want to be popping that just to stop a Fiddle drain.
Poofer's going to play aggressively, gets caught up in the Hawk. Trivialize. I think he's 4 for 4 on important hooks. The TP comes down to secure the kill. They're throwing the kitchen sink at this Braum here, and they take it. That's some great pressure in on the bot lane, and certainly going to be the first tower gone.
Amazing stuff from Lamp to really kick this game off with a bang. He got himself a 3.5k gold lead. Dragon advantage on a Hextech Rift nonetheless. That's a terrifying prospect, the ability to slow as you go in, proccing that soul. I say that, the game might be determined way before then. We're at 17.5 minutes now. Baron's going to be spawning soon as heavy trade in top lane.
Kennen more than happy just to take that, knowing that they had flash available. They are going to have to burn it in the process as they continue to try and chip Jax down from afar. But Jax more than happy to jump on in. Pops the stopwatch, tanks the tower hit. Jax is really committing there to that. Burns everything in the process, but picks up the solo kill.
Mercury Tread's getting massive value there. The stun coming through from Kennen. Looked like Demon Slayer had saved himself, but nope. As now in the top lane, you get Pentakill trying to collect successfully. Okay, not trying. They get it. Was a little worried. Have to admit, that would be really bad for morale if you don't get that one. As Undead Scar quietly just sat mid lane. 0 kill participation on this Ahri. Really not what you want to see for a champion that is basically their entire MO is get involved in early fights and get as much kill participation as you can. They've got the Everfrost. We need to see this player either engaging on to prioritize with their jungler or going to a side lane already.
Yeah, it's really rough, isn't it? You got to feel for Undead Scar. They didn't have a great game in bot previously, and now they're not having a fantastic game in mid. Just feels like they're not getting a lot of the time and the attention, especially from the jungler. Jungle really being committed elsewhere, as bot is very oppressive here.
You got to try and mitigate the impact that this Fiddlesticks is having, and Pentakill, on their own, doing well. They are the recipient of a lot of these important kills, but at the end of the day, Hecarim is not a champion that can really handle everything the enemy team has to offer because they have so many threats. They have literally got 4 people that you could argue could 1v9 a fight. You got the Corki, who can just win it with poke, Jhin positioning in important CC, the Fiddlesticks, we've seen it happen multiple times, I don't need to explain that to you. And then Jax, we saw last game, 5dog, once they got going, had a really killer performance that just snowballed out of control.
See Corki waiting there in the river. Kennen could be a bit of a target here for Jax to just go and play with for the meantime. Top tower, not in great health, but sufficient for the time being. Rift spawns in 10, Drake in 30, so a fight is going to be brewing. That poke in the mid lane is devastating, isn't it? Scar just can't even walk on up to farm.
It's too much from the Corki. Opting for the Luden's build as well. This only gets worse.
An attempt there at zoning out from the Hecarim. Prioritize. Doing his best to try and send some damage down range.
It's Undead Scar's ult done before the dragon. This is just amazing stuff from Lamp. There is basically no way to contest this. You have to be hoping for Pentakill to steal, and that is the only way. And if Pentakill goes in, Hecarim does not have a way back out.
It would be a one-way ticket for sure. There's plenty of vision here that is going to give a lot of advantage over onto Lamp. You can see the Drake just at about the half health. As the TP comes on in, Hecarim does go for that engage and is actually capable of pushing everybody off that Drake. Wow. Demon Slayer comes on in, the Kennen ult sees a couple of kills flying on through as the shutdown comes in. That's gold to the best possible place at this moment in time as Ahri will collect that kill onto Fiddle. But Hecarim's not done there. He's going to chase down inside of the mid lane. Does get stunned up by the Jhin, but should get himself out of dodge.
Amazing that they're able to get away with that one. Curtain call will not be enough. Was a little bit worried. Could have seen Kimchi turn that around and maybe equalize the fight to some extent. But let's see how it ended up happening. It was the TP in from Kennen. The extra move speed you get after using that summoner paired with just Hecarim paving the way. So good from Demon Slayer to get in on that fight. It's what you need to be doing with the Kennen. And you can really see just this comp starting to come online in the team fights. This is where we expected it to be the case. We said it. It's cookie cutter, guys. You can't mess it up. You run in with Kennen and Hecarim, and the rest of the team cleans up. Guess what they did? They ran in with Hecarim, Kennen, and they cleaned up.
It worked very well for them. They have managed to catch up as well. The gold lead a little bit less now for Lamp. An unsuccessful team fight. Especially one where they seem to hold all the cards for a long time and realistically maybe could have targeted the Drake a little bit more and prioritized actually getting that before taking that fight and being pushed off, but it wasn't to happen.
Biggest weakness of the Fiddle. You can't take the straight up fights. If you don't have a cheeky angle, you're basically worthless because the amount of time it takes to channel that Crow Storm, it's 1.5 seconds. That may sound like a short amount of time, but we said it earlier, everybody on the enemy team has crowd control. Every single person can threaten that Fiddlesticks ultimate channel and interrupt it. So you cannot take it as a foregone conclusion. If Coco Chaney is not on the front foot in these fights, if they do not have vision control, then this pick starts to drop off like a cliff.
Let's see if anything can be found here inside of the mid lane. We've got Poofers trying to dish out a little bit of damage there on the Xayah. Certainly not experienced the same success they did previously on the Aurelia playing in mid. Taking a little bit more of a backseat approach here and relying on the team synergy a little bit more.
Notice they've actually gone for the Collector as well, so playing even further into buying those resets for Undead Scar, you can make sure that those targets go down, executing them on the 5% health threshold with that item, then just gives an extra dash over to your Ari, and we can see how scary they can be in a fight. We haven't got it this game, but we know for a fact that jumping in, getting those Everfrost setups for your team is so important.
TP coming in top here as Corki tries to put a bandage on what is going to be a gaping wound here inside of the top lane. We do see the shutdown come through for the Jax. That's going to be gold in the right place as Jax can actually re-engage. Fiddle is able to take down Poofers. I'm not sure how Poofers let himself get into the 1 versus 1 then. Terribly messy stuff. We saw Treble come up in an attempt to assist, but this has gone horribly wrong.
The Baron is up. You could just go take this for free. There's no reason that Lamp can't just grab this now. They have the jungler, they have the mid lane is down, but everybody else is up. As they should even be able to delay this Baron take for long enough that the Corki gets it. A complete swing in the tempo of the game, where it looked like James Clements managed to find their way into it. It drops almost immediately. You see the Hex Gates doing so much to try and close this gap. Ari, what can you do, Undead Scar? There is the possibility, but they don't have the vision. They can't face check quick enough as the Baron falls right in front of them. Dragon up in a minute's time. Tragedy for the reigning champions of James Clemens. Facing down a potential 2-0 shellacking from the Lamp squad.
Yeah, you can see that. I mean, the damage wasn't quite there to get the Baron done in quick enough fashion. Obviously, they delayed it there to get the Corki, but you do just wonder if there was another couple of seconds there where we could have maybe seen JCH pushing up a little bit harder. As it stands, they're able to pivot straight now onto the Drake.
Right. We've seen this go wrong before. They're going to be able to secure the Scuttle Crab, you'd think. Gives them that initial vision. It's going to be very important. No! Actually, I think that got stolen. I'm waiting to see it spawn. It did. That is amazing for the James Clemens squad. Being able to buy that extra vision. We're talking about how important it is for Coco Chaney to get a weird angle to approach, and they will not be able to get it here.
We are going to see a little bit of a confrontation here as Jax is getting himself into all sorts of trouble. Fiddlesticks, though, straight on in. Flash and Rocket Belt to get into there. Not quite enough.
No way,
Has to hit the
Prioritize!
stopwatch. Prioritize is just chunking people down from afar. Xayah doing the best, but the damage is not going to be enough. Tanking the shots there from the final curtain as multiple people are going to be super low and forced into a back. Still, the Drake is up.
This is going to be just free for Lamp. The thing is, though, they've used up a lot of their Baron duration. Halfway done. No towers taken. And that's Gale Force for you. Certain dominance on their own ADC from the previous game.
Gale Force, flash and damage.
What an item. What an item.
What a combination.
Yeah. So we do have Prioritize now with the package in the
Oh
mid lane.
my goodness.
Okay, it's a rough day to be the Demon Slayer. As we take a look at itemization for Lamp, they have got 2 more of Malmortius, one on the Corki, one on the Jax. And we saw it at the start of the previous play, how long 5-Dog was able to last. Corki, maybe not as long they'll be able to survive in a fight, but hot damn, it buys a lot of space for them when the biggest threats were that Kennen and the Ahri.
Certainly got a lot more to work with there. This gives them that slight boost in MR. Prioritize at this point can basically do what he wants. He's just chunking people down for fun.
You have to worry. This could be the beginning of the end for James Clemens. Blue team getting pushed back. They need to find some very rapid fights. And it needs to be with all of their team, because you've seen it time and time again now. The individual members of the Lamp squad are far too accelerated in itemization and levels, for that matter. Take a look across the board. I don't see a single place where it's not in the lead for Lamp, and there's a good reason for it.
Poofers, you don't want to be there, my friend. You are walking up to prioritize, and if he lands even one of those onto you, you're going to be chunked on down. Still continues to take the fight. Excuse me? Prioritize, surely this is a bit of a freebie, but it looks like it's part of a bigger problem. Curtain call comes through there from Jin. Not going to be enough, just does something to zone out the players, but there's the flash engage from the Fiddlesticks as they push on through, hit that stopwatch, and can just watch their team clean up shop. Tower is tanked, but it does not matter. Braum left, only a couple of HP. Ari still fighting inside of the bot lane.
So clean. Lamp playing amazingly well. Currently looking like the rightful winners of these grand finals. Question is, can you find anything? Can you pull together, James Clemens? You won before. We just need to see that kind of form once again. I know it was a year ago, but you got to pull it together now. You don't get any more chances. The next fight that goes awry, that is the Nexus exploding. Baron spawning in a minute 40. The Soul spawning in 2 minutes. That is, despite what the icon says, that is a Hextech Soul that as soon as it goes over for Lamp, imagine what we've seen so far from Prioritize, but it slows as well.
It's just going to be game over, isn't it? Jax, I think he's hoping that it's game over. He gives himself up freely as a shutdown onto the Ari. That's a question mark.
Definitely a question mark. You
Especially
give over the
at this
shutdown
point.
and your sums, right? Yeah.
Yeah, at this point in the game, you've just given Ignite, you've just given Flash. You've got 40 seconds on your death timer, and Drake's spawning in and around 1 minute 40. I'm not really sure what the play was there.
Not an ideal... Well, it was an idealistic one. Kind of what we had from Poofers over here. I like the idea at the end of the day, but that is all I can say for the matter, as we get Fiddlesticks coming over the wall. Coco Chaney once again dominating the fight on this Fiddle. I can't not scream their name this time around. And the best part was for this, as the counter engage comes through, Demon Slayer is just forced over the Fiddle, who goes into stopwatch. And watch this right here. Kimchi comes forward to tank the tower and save their jungler's life. Such good team play from Lamp, honestly. You can see that they are just playing like the better squad right now.
Good coordination, you know, and you're going to be taking those tower dives, especially later on into the game, and it's going to be for an extended period of time. You want to make sure that you're getting things done right. Jax, I fancied a quick way of getting back down to where he inted earlier. Instead, sees the
Don't sugarcoat it.
I mean, he did, didn't he? He just ran on the tower. Like, what else do you want to call it?
Yeah, it wasn't a great decision. It's okay to say, because Five Dog has had a pretty good series on this Jax other than that right there. As now they're just going to be lurking around, trying to keep away the enemy jungler. Remember, talked about last time, Hecarim only gets one way in, as this is the Jhin ult coming out very early.
Super early. There's no engage, there's no CC. It's just blasting out 4 shots for the hell of it.
It's bought so much space, though. Look at the chunk on the enemy team. Everybody for the James Clemens squad is on, what, 75% HP or less. It is going to be impossible to approach this dragon and survive.
Well, they're going to have to try if they want to try and contest this Soul point, but it is not even going to be a factor. No contest whatsoever. Soul given away for free.
I don't know if you can come back from this one. This needs to be a massive Baron throw from Lamp, and that is the only way I can see you able to recover. Because the thing is, Corki and Jhin make such disgusting use of this Soul. They chain into each other so well. Then again, you can try and attack the side lane. The Jax is still vulnerable. You have multiple members, and you know the Baron's being taken. You have to do something here, surely. Can't go quietly off into the night.
Well, Jax certainly isn't going to do that as Five Dog hits the engage, gets batted back by the Braum. His team, they're going to be meanwhile preoccupied. They're going to be picking up that Baron. No one in position to contest. Demon Slayer thinks better of it. as Jax is going to actually go for it yet again. Gets himself firmly behind enemy lines. This time, he is going to be able to jump away. So at least he's not going to take too much tower damage, but he's still got a fight to contend with down there.
Action across the map. Multiple fights happening.
Ooh, Kennen there just going to come through with a nice ulti into the stopwatch. It's not going to be enough, though. Prioritize. You can't challenge that.
So well executed, surviving. Just the more of Malmortius that they bought earlier is just that insurance package you need. Because you can get one-shot by a Kennen without it. You can get one-shot by the Ahri without it. As soon as they pick that item up, the only threat onto this Corki has been the Hecarim. And Pentakill has not been in a state to be diving.
No, Pentakill had a really strong early game, but Sint has just dipped off a little bit. Rufus, he's going to take a lot of damage there, have to ult himself out of danger as Jhin did come in with the Gale Force. It's all going to be on to Braum to try, and also, sorry, to keep him alive as we see the ultis coming on through. Great shot there from Jhin. Fiddlesticks doing a lot of the hard work prior to that.
The Loveless Academic Magnet Program team is walking it down. These legends are most definitely gold. As with 2 dead members, you have to feel like this is going to be, if not the end of the game, just the opening of the book. Corki package available. Prioritize can do anything they want here, and it will likely result in success just with how far ahead they are.
Going to be a difficult situation to try and come back from. Xayah, first one to be exploded. Hecarim valiantly pushes on through in an attempt to do something, but again, shut down by the ADC. And that is going to be all she wrote. The Nexus towers are going to be falling, and that is going to be goodbye to the Nexus as well. Lamp, they manage to do it. The Loveless Academic Magnet Program are going to be successful here tonight. They're going to pick up this series as a clean 2-0.
Dethroning James Clemens High School. The previous winners are no more. All hail the Legends Gold of Lamp. Very well executed, and I find it fitting that they did it using the only character in this game that wields a lamp of that Jax twice in a row. Great stuff from 5Dog, apart from that one play that now that they won, we can definitely say was an int, and I won't feel bad about it. But across the board, utterly just amazing team play, great prioritization. I know I said the name like 5 times in like the first 10 minutes, but Coco Chaney on this Fiddlesticks, just disgusting. You didn't know they had it in them until you get to see it on the Rift.
Yeah, I think Coco Chaney did a fantastic job there on the fiddle to just control the pace of the game right from the get-go. You know, we saw the same style of Jax play from 5Dog in the top lane. If anything, he was a little bit more activated in this game because he had a little bit more room to work with in that early part of the match. But, you know, Coco Chaney, big props has got to go to him. And prioritizing that mid lane, just so damaging. You know, it was incredible the amount of chunk that he was able to dish from afar. That poke was just brutal.
And seeing those early ganks onto the bottom lane was just really important with the Fiddlesticks being able to get that Predator early off of that initial play. Shuts down the Braum, which was that counter pick that we were so ready to see. We thought, okay, they've got the lane swap, the roster swap. Surely James Clemens can take it here. They've got the easier to execute comp, but they just weren't able to overcome that early engage. The Nautilus, yeah, it was countered conceptually, but we saw an execution. Every single hook was just spot on, always doing exactly what they needed to do. Take a bow. You trivialized that game, to say the least.
Yeah, trivialized. I think you couldn't have asked him to pick. You couldn't have asked him to hit any more important hooks. I think he hit every single important.
Well, we've got the replay, so let's see it.
We could probably count right now. There's going to be one in a second, no doubt. He never really went too far without making something impactful happen. But again, this was, you know, I mean, who do we want to gas up the most here? We could gas Coco Chaney up for the timing. You know, it really is just one of those things, isn't it? The right place, the right time, and I think his team played well off the back of it.
Every single time, like, this Fiddlesticks is such a team-centric champion. And there you go. First one from trivializing the replay package, but I'm pretty sure he had 3 to date up to this. And Prioritize, we see, coming down on the bot. Nicely done. And this was one of the first objective fights that we thought, okay, hold on a minute. This is where we get to see it. James Clemens' plan come online. They dominate the fight with their cookie cutter play. And it was honestly just looking at like here, like, okay, they're alive. They've got it. They've got everything together. We're a bit worried in the early, but we just never saw that form again.
No, we didn't, and it wasn't through, you know, lack of cooldowns or lack of trying, really. They tried to get themselves into that position, but I think the way that the fight was really playing out is that Lamp had everything covered, right? They had the poke covered right through to that, you know, close quarters engage of the Fiddle, and the way that the Jhin, you know, the Jhin ults were played, I think it was a great method of zoning, as well as actually trying to pick off stragglers at the end of team fights.
Just did an excellent job of keeping the Clemens squad at arm's length throughout the entire game, pretty much, with the exception of that one fight where it went wrong. And I think that the poke style of this Jhin plus Corki really was epitomized by the fact that if it goes well, the enemy doesn't get to play the game, and we got to see it so many times over. Like Demon Slayer, they try their best here, and you just can't do anything. Even this, like, right, come on, this has got to be as close to inting as you can get on Kimchi. They do everything to go forward, but it doesn't matter because of this collapse from Coco Chaney and then the immediate pickup of the second kill. Like, come on.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a rough day at the office, I think, on occasion, for James Clemens, and, you know, coming in as the second seed, going up against the first seed, there was nothing really in between these two. We didn't know what to expect in terms of who was going to be coming out on top. Obviously, James Clemens, they had the title to defend, and they had that sort of history and pedigree, but it was no match today on the Rift for the Loveless Academic Magnet program. They are going to be your winners here tonight in the PlayVS Alabama League of Legends Spring Grand Finals. Our winners, congratulations, the Loveless Academic Magnet program. I'm sure that they will be celebrating tonight. That is, in fact, going to do us here tonight on this channel. We'd like to wish you all a very good evening. Thank you so much for watching. Melvin, it's been a pleasure. Production, thank you very much. And I'm sure that we will see you again in the not too distant future. I hope you've enjoyed yourselves. Have a great evening.